Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce lab by Ecomcy, the place of everything related to Amazon FBA private label and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we bring you another special guest. Her name is Neha Bhuchar, and she is the co-founder and CEO of Atom 11, which is an amazing solution when it comes to sales automatization for marketplaces, specifically Amazon. And we know here in the podcast we have a lot of Amazon sellers, so it's going to be interesting to see what this amazing tool can do for you. And on today's podcast, we also have a very interesting topic. Actually, it's a topic we haven't had before. It's going to be everything regarding retail aware advertising. So this is actually even a term that I haven't heard a lot, so I'm very intrigued to see what Neha can teach us today on the episode. So Neha, it's a pleasure to have you here on the show today. How you doing?
Hi, Vincenzo. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I think I've been a fan of the show, listened to it a lot of times, so I feel very nice being here today. So yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine. Thank you for making the time for to come to the show. And my goal with this podcast is to always bring entrepreneurs like you to learn about their journey, but not only learn about their journey, learn about what they're bringing to the space with their solutions, and also pick their brain in terms of the latest strategies. So I think to get started with today's episode, I wanna start a little bit with you as an entrepreneur, how you got started, and basically went into funding your company, and then we go from there. Yeah.
Sure. So very quickly, thank you for introducing me. I am the co-founder of Atom 11, which is a retail-aware advertising and analytics software.
Hmm.
For Amazon, for now, we do intend to be a multi-marketplace play
Nice.
going forward. Let me tell you a little bit about my beginnings. I come from the Amazon background. I have worked with
Ex
Amazon for about
Amazonian.
6 years. Yes,
Nice.
ex Amazon, Amazonian. Worked with Amazon for about 6 years. I was, in fact, a founding member of the Amazon
Mm.
advertising team in
Wow.
India. Basically, started the business, scaled it, to
Hmm.
about 800, 900x before I left.
Good.
Worked with about 300 advertisers.
Mm.
So I had teams which were looking into sales as well as account management for advertisers. I've done product marketing for advertising, Amazon advertising. I have done sponsored videos, which is videos for freebie.
Mm. Yeah.
Product development for that. So in short, been in this space for the last 6 years, basically eaten this space, drunk, eat, drink, sleep this space, basically is what I've
I
done,
know.
right?
I know.
And
I know.
I think my even at Amazon, I think my role was such, first being, heading account management teams and sales teams and product teams. It has been so customer backwards throughout that I think within that journey, I started learning about some intricacies about Amazon advertising and Amazon businesses as such, uh, that gave me um, and a call saying, hey, there is a space which is not being utilized, or there is a change which is coming in Amazon advertising, or just in how e-commerce is going to be managed going forward, that this is probably a good time to actually bring your thoughts, or bring my thoughts and my ideas into something that I can create as a new entity in itself.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, thank you very much for that intro. I mean, yes, it looks like you've definitely been around different projects within the Amazon ecosystem, and that's awesome because, I bet you have seen everything inside out about how things work, and also that has inspired you to actually do your company Atom 11, and I think that's usually from experience when I work with solutions that have to do with Amazon sellers. Usually, when it's founded by people coming from Amazon, they have the best outcome because you guys understand the machine from inside. Then you come
Yeah.
in outside and you basically tailor your solution around that. So I'm very excited about what Atom 11 can bring to the market. Now, let's bring to the table the topic, right? So I know you're
Yeah.
very excited about talking about this, which is retail over advertising. So I guess for those that maybe don't know what even this term means, let's start with the definition about the term, and then
Yeah,
of course we can talk about how this could be important for things such as Amazon. Yeah,
sure. So let me just first, in one line, tell you what is retail aware. But I think
yeah,
after that, I would like to talk more about why or what has
yeah,
changed or why do I even talk about this, right?
yeah,
So retail aware advertising means, if I were to talk in a seller's or an agency's language, it means that now, instead of connecting advertising to bids and budgets and ROAS, we
yeah,
connect it to the objective that the brand is working for. That
hmm,
is sales. So you connect your advertising to the total sales, and you not just look at how and what products you're advertising, and how do you increase your bids or reduce your bids so that you can get to a specific ROAS or a specific TACOS. You actually look at which product needs the most attention. Is
hmm,
the how are you bringing in inventory within advertising? How are you bringing in bestseller ranks and market share within advertising? How are you bringing in um, search ranks within advertising? How are you
yeah,
bringing in all of that, taking inputs from retail and actually using it in advertising?
yeah,
um, this is something which, in my belief, is going to just be a change in how agencies and even brands are managing their advertising going forward. And of course, we would like to I would love to talk about it in more detail. But just given the fact of how expensive advertising is becoming, and
yeah.
every single penny is, brands would like to see how it is
I
actually
know.
translating into sales.
Yeah,
Retail level advertising is going to become more and more important. um, and you know what, Vincenzo, you are a full service agency, right?
yeah,
Tell me, you guys have already been doing this, probably, retail level advertising is something that is a coined a term which is coined recently, but you guys have been doing this for a long time.
yeah,
Why don't you tell me a little bit, maybe a couple of lines
yeah, yeah,
about what do you
yeah. Of
think is the
course.
difference between you and another agency which is more advertising focused? And of course, nothing is wrong. I just
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that there are schools of approaches. You have a school of belief that I want to be retail aware, and there is a school of belief which is an advertising only, because they think that, of course, then they are experts of
hmm,
something. But I want
yeah,
to know, what is your school of thought, and why being
yeah.
full service?
Of course, of course. So I would say, yeah, when you do full account management, it's completely different than only doing advertisement, because if you only do advertisement, yeah, most of the focus is in lowering, the ACOs, the TACOs, and just focusing on those KPIs, but it's not really thinking outside of the box as what is happening with my brand. What is the market share I'm winning with my brand, right? What is my brand awareness, and things like that. So, for example, something that we're very mindful when we run advertisement is not only to focus on the KPIs that we generate from that, but how brand overall is being basically spreading across the market as a whole. So that means also outside of Amazon, right? So, for example, something that we like to measure a lot when we run our advertising is going back to what you just mentioned, is also making sure our organic position is winning, the lifetime value for clients is increasing, because sometimes there are strategies where you don't make money on the first or the second or the third purchase, like especially with supplements, is down the line, right? So it's thinking
Yes.
about, okay, my ACOS is 100% on this product, but I know my client now is going to come back and buy this accessory, this, that, and that. And that's usually when you end up making the profit. So that's the first thing, like understanding not only the KPIs, but how you actually construct the whole funnel around the client, and how advertising is actually just a tiny part. Because I think, and I bet you see this a lot, Neha, that people think that PPC is the only solution to your business, and it's only there to enhance and provide support to your business. But if you don't have the right
Yes.
branding and product in the first place, nothing's gonna work, right?
Absolutely. I think I'm just so glad that you said it, right? Um,
Yeah,
but I think, Vincenzo, I wanted to take you back to
hmm,
2017,
yeah,
right? 2017. was a completely different time. It was not very long ago, by the way, but it was a very different time, right? People were not thinking the way you are thinking today.
Yeah, that's
PPC
correct.
had
Yeah,
just launched, was very cheap,
yeah.
and
Cost per click was like 20, 30 cents. Yeah,
yeah, I know. And, so it was very cheap. And, brands could just say, okay, you know what, this is something that definitely needs some expertise. So we go to an
yeah,
agency and they can run this for us.
yeah.
So agency, please run this. Just make sure that you are keeping it in a specific ROAS, which is, X or Y, right? Depending on
Mm-hmm.
what they wanted. The second thing that was there in 2017 was data availability was not as much as what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
That's
brands
right.
wanted to actually, they would come to an agency or even a tool and say, show me a lot of data. Just
Yeah,
show me so much data that I can actually, make better decisions.
yeah,
But in 6 years, something has changed. And that something is basically, it has completely a 180-degree change, which says now there is so much data. Now there is so much data that you don't know what to look at. And
I
when
know.
it comes to PPC, um, you know, PPC has become expensive, results are not as
Mhm.
great. So now brands have the questions that brands are asking are not that show me more data and run my PPC. Questions
No,
have changed. Show me my data has become show me my insights.
yeah. The overall
Um,
picture of my brand, not only the
exactly.
PPC. Yeah, yeah,
Right. I mean, it's not about okay, sales went down, but why? Or okay, hourly data is X, but what are you going to do? What is the insight about it? Like, right? So people have now started looking at from data has now become insights, and PPC is now earlier you used to hear ROAS, now you hear TACOS, and in future you will start hearing a word that you said, right? LTV and CAC.
yeah.
So these things are going to start evolving as PPC becomes more and more expensive. And we've already seen this, by the way, with Google and
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. All of these things have already happened. Amazon is just getting into that trajectory of, hey, we have moved from ROAS to TACOS, and then now CAC and LTV, which is something that you guys are already doing. So
Yeah,
times have completely changed, and I think now is when way of working is also going to start changing, from uh, only advertising to full service
yeah,
to and for tools also, which is only advertising, to something which is more retail aware or e-commerce management as a whole, something like that.
yeah. I think as well now. I mean, all this sounds amazing, and it is because we do it on a daily basis. However, the
Yes.
reality, and I'm sure you're aware of this, most people don't have access to the right either tools or resources to basically combine all these data points, um, be able to do something meaningful with that, because you need to have an understanding of what all these data points means, and how based on certain KPIs of combining all this, you can make a decision. So what I'm trying to get with this, like, do you have some advice, or maybe what are some of the first steps a brand should take to basically go down that direction and stop focusing only on ACOs and all the different KPIs that everybody's thinking that is the only solution for the business, you know?
Yeah. Um, so I think there are two, three things that I think, and of course, I'm also learning when I talk to more and more
Yeah.
clients. Um, my framework is three things: aggregate, analyze, and automate. And let me take you
Mm-hmm.
through this framework, and then of course, then within this, you will get the answer to your question.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that I suggest is break the silos.
Mm-hmm.
Just break the silos. I mean, that itself is going to is going to save you so much trouble. Amazon has about 150 reports. They have about 50 reports on advertising. So those are siloed enough.
Yeah.
Now your job is, let's say, or any brand basically should actually first think of starting to aggregate these things in one place,
Yeah.
one dashboard where you can actually see your sales trends along with your PPC spend, your PPC performance, your inventory availability, your pricing, your
Mm-hmm.
discounting, your the sales trends and BSR trends, right?
Yeah.
Your sales with R&R, ratings and reviews, all of these things in one place.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start this, and that is what I call aggregate.
Yeah.
Start aggregating, just break the silos, right? The second thing that I suggest is analyze. Do not, okay, and it could be two different things. There are brands and sellers who want to do things, on Power BIs or
Yeah.
wherever, or if
Hmm.
they want to use a software, add intelligence to it. The time for looking at data is gone. You can't look at the kind of data Amazon gives you already,
Hmm.
and Walmart is going to follow suit, right? The data that
Yeah.
Amazon gives you today, let's say 300 reports, Walmart is
Yeah.
going to give you another 300 reports in the next 2-3 years, right? So you
Mhm.
cannot humanly do all of that. So see what you can do to add intelligence to this data and
Okay.
walk you through. Just look at, just imagine that, you log into a software or your dashboard, and it's actually walking you through saying, hey, today um, these 5 products are out of stock. Step number 1, inform your ERP. Step number 2, go and pause advertising. Step
Hmm.
number 3, do you want to do something about pricing? Right? So, all of those things basically is something which is now interconnected and guiding you that, okay, this event has happened. Now, this is what you need to do. And then the next day when you come and something is back in stock, that hey, this product was out of stock yesterday,
Yeah.
it's back in stock now, do
Yeah.
you want to do this and this, right? So now, instead of just looking at, okay, I will look at what do I have to do, think of
Yeah.
something which can guide you, that this is an event that has happened, this is the action that I need to take. And the last one is automate. Now that you know that this action needs to be taken, automate those actions so that you're saving time and saving your that time that you are going to use on implementations, and using it to build better
Mhm.
strategies. You have 500 products, let's build strategies for those, and then feed it into a software so that it can take care of the execution part. So those are the 3 things that I advise sellers and brands, and saying, hey, this is now the time when that we start aggregating, analyzing, and automating, so that we are spending more and more time in actually building strategies and figuring out how do we reduce CAC, how do we increase LTV, how do we increase our or reduce our TAC costs, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super important because yeah, just the part of aggregating and analyzing. I find people doing so many mistakes with that. Sometimes when we do audits, they have the data vice all over the place. They have different dashboard for every single thing. So when it comes to making a decision, realistically, you can. You're just playing the casino, the roulette, right? And and then when it comes to building the strategy and the automation, I 100% agree with you. Like you basically need to understand what are the KPIs you're looking to target based on the strategy of your brand, and design SOPs based on that. Like if this KPI hits this is going to be my reaction. If that reaction creates that, react based on that. Because I guess the other mistake I also see is that people, yes, they have the aggregation, they have the data, but they don't have a framework. They don't have like a framework in the sense that these are the KPIs that I need to target, and they just react based on the emotion of the day. They log in, they see something wrong, and they just react instead of following
React.
a strategy that has to be done day after day to basically reach the outcome. So basically nail it on all the different points I wanted to bring. Now, when it comes to these solutions, right, and implementation, would you say, do you need a lot of data to really make sense of this? Because another question I guess sometimes for people is like, okay, all this, of course, it makes total sense, but if I'm not doing enough volume, maybe I don't have enough data to really make something meaningful out of that. So basically, what I'm trying to say with this, will you say that this strategy it only applies to medium to big brands, or will you say this is something you can start implementing from day one? Like,
Yeah,
what is your take
that's a
on
very
that?
good
Yeah,
point. That's a very
yeah.
beautiful point. So, Vincenzo, this is again what I think. I believe it's more important for mid market and enterprise brands. When I
Hmm.
say mid market, I actually can bring in brands which are spending, let's say, over 20,000 US dollars on
Hmm.
advertising, right, a month. Now, they may actually not be mid market, but I mean, in Amazon sense, we can actually start
Of
counting them
course.
in.
Yeah.
Now, um, smaller brands,
Mm-hmm.
They don't need the kind of automation that I'm talking about,
Yeah.
but they definitely need the aggregation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, see, for them, lesser money is also at stake. And secondly, anything which is so sophisticated will also come at a cost. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
uh, a smaller brand would rather spend that money in improving customer service, or
Exactly.
basically 0 to 1 brands is what I'm saying, right? 0 to 1 brand will probably use that money, rather than spending it on a software, they will use that money on other things. But once you are a 1 to 10 or an enterprise brand or a challenger brand, that's when it becomes, I think, now it is already becoming important, and in a let's say a couple of years, it is going to be, you cannot imperative, basically you cannot work without it. So that's the direction that we are also going in,
Yeah.
right? So yeah,
Of
but I think
course.
for a 0 to 1 brand, I think aggregation will probably solve a lot of their problems, because teams are smaller, miscommunications are lower.
Yeah.
You can actually they can actually manage a lot of this without.
Awesome. Now, when it comes to retailer advertising, of course, now we're focusing mainly in the Amazon ecosystem, but I would like to start also bringing this forward to the fact that nowadays, more than ever, because of the competition in and saturation in some of the niches within Amazon, people is spreading their wings and going to our marketplaces or having them direct to consumer channels, right? So when it comes to this strategy, we say, especially as you start to become a medium market to enterprise company, is also is there some correlation, for example, of things that you do in Amazon that could give certain effect on your D2C channel or channel? Like, have you seen on the accounts that you have managed that are heavily implement this strategy? Like, just to give you a quick example, like it could be that because you're doing so well on Amazon and you're creating such a good brand on Amazon over time, like the example with Anchor, right? Now they have the direct to consumer, people just go now to their consumers, so that created an effect due to the efforts they did on Amazon, right? I know this is much more complex to track and everything because there are so many data points, but there's something you can share on this point that you think is also important for Amazon sellers to consider when combining other channels and things like that,
Yeah, this is a very good question. In fact, something that some of our clients have asked us in the past, Vincenzo. They've asked us whether we have plans of starting to aggregate data with D2C,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
even D2C marketplaces, D2C and offline. So we
Yeah, I
actually
know.
get a lot of requests on those. Let me answer the question in two different ways.
Sure.
One is from the tool side of it, and the second one is the question that you asked, which is also on impact,
Exact.
impact of Amazon on other this thing, right? On the tool side, Vincenzo, it also depends on focus, right? There is so much to do on the marketplace end only, that any tool would first want to make sure that, hey, we are doing a good job on marketplaces first,
Exactly.
and then we can go and probably include D2C and other
Hmm.
sources of data. Marketplaces in itself are such jungles right now that there is
Yeah,
just so much
I know.
that you would want, like, especially for me, for example, I would want to first do a great job at Amazon, then include other marketplaces like Walmart, Kroger's, Chewy's, all of that, and then think about D2C. The market is huge enough. Now, when it comes to the impact that brands are seeing from, let's say, Amazon on their D2C,
Yeah.
are you asking in terms of sales? So let's say if something happens on Amazon, are they seeing a trickle effect on their
Yeah,
D2C? Is
extractor.
that your question? Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
basically, yeah, trickle effect. Because, for example, I had this brand that the strategy they were doing it is very clever. On Amazon, they were only selling their cheapest product, but all the
Yeah.
premium lineup was only on their D2C channel, right? So they were using Amazon as a magnet to generate brand awareness and basically break even almost just to make the brand be recognized. But the lineup that is actually the one that have the big profit margin, you can only buy in the D2C channel. And basically, they use Amazon as a lead magnet to bring people to the D2C. Just that's just a strategy, right? So. Yeah, my question is like, do you see more than ever, especially with the cases that you are reviewing lately, that people are doing things like this, like they're using different channels to trickle effects on other channels, or this
Yeah.
is something that maybe is not mainstream yet? Like that's
Yeah.
basically my question. Yeah. Yeah.
So we don't manage brands, we are more SaaS, I think. But I can tell you from my experience of
Hmm.
working with some of these brands, I
Yeah.
do see trickle. So now everything is becoming omni-channel, right?
Exactly.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
can see something on Instagram and or TikTok, and then
And then
come
you
and
go
buy
there
later
and
on.
you buy there. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's all omni-channel now. So definitely there is an effect. There are trickle effects of you changing your pricing on D2C. You increase your pricing on
Hmm.
D2C, your Amazon sales go up. You
Exactly.
increase your pricing on Amazon or reduce your pricing
Yeah.
on, let's say,
That's what I mean.
Walmart,
Yeah.
your Amazon prices go up. So
Yeah. Yeah.
those things continue to happen. What you have said, I think it's a very smart strategy.
Yeah.
I personally haven't heard of this one, but I've heard of people using a lot of these strategy in PPC, for example, because that's something that's my home ground, right? PPC
Yeah.
is home ground.
Your
So what
thing.
I've seen is, and we've actually done a lot of experiments while I was at Amazon. Um, we've seen experiments where brands, what they do is they will take their cheapest product, which is just a
Hmm.
little bit cheaper than their competitors' cheapest product. So let's say competitors' product is at $20, and let's say this one is at 19.5,
Okay.
and all their competition targeting happens with their cheapest
The
product,
cheapest.
and all their
Yeah.
branded targeting happens with their most expensive products.
I
So I've
know.
seen that, but I haven't yet seen the kind of strategy that you mentioned, I think, which is
Omnichannel.
very, very smart.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I learned something very cool today. I would probably suggest people.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to bring it to the table because I find that more than ever that everything's omni-channel, and now people are starting to aggregate data from different points. Yeah, I just wanted to basically open the conversation to see if you have some
Yeah.
take on that, because I feel like more than ever, especially with brands that we're starting to bring into Amazon ecosystem, they demand more and more the aggregation of all these data points. They want to know on a single dashboard what is happening in Shopify, what is happening in Walmart, what is happening on Amazon, and how
Hmm.
things can be correlated between each other, which again is complex sometimes, especially when you have a lot of skills. But I see the market is going down that direction. They don't see anymore like, I don't really care about the acres on Amazon. I care about my acres overall, my tax overall of my brand, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think
that's it.
that's a very interesting point. So, but you know what? I think here's the challenge, which is not even solved yet.
Hmm.
Um, you can look at sales and you can look at all the data that you want, but there is a significant amount of difference between how D2C operates and how Amazon and Walmart operate. And
Yeah.
the biggest difference is competition. You
Hmm.
cannot take anything which comes on Amazon, any data point, without regarding for or by disregarding what competition did. And
Yeah.
D2C is more about, okay, once let's just bring the traffic in, and then, we will convert the customer somehow. Or, we have an X% conversion rate, we will increase it by giving recommendations or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Amazon is a different ball game. And that's why I think what we've tried to do at Atom 11 also, Vincenzo, is that we try to bring in all these forces when it comes to
Hmm.
sales, um, PPC, your competition tracking, your inventory tracking, and your total overall analytics. Now we are actually encouraging brands that, hey, you can now look at, and as well as agencies, right? You can now look at why sales dropped. Was it because of what a
Hmm.
competitor did?
Yeah.
Right?
You want to
Now you're
understand
able
the
to
reason.
go back. Yes, you're able to go back and see whether, okay, my sales probably dropped because competition reduced their pricing, or they had a deal of the day. So there is an explanation of why something happened.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
that's something which kind of helps you navigating the Amazon or marketplace ecosystem, and it is very, very different from how you are navigating and measuring your
Yeah.
variables on Shopify and other channels.
Exactly. Awesome. Now, to start concluding, I think I want to bring to the table more Atom 11. Just tell me a little bit more about how Amazon sellers can leverage this, because it sounds amazing, the solution that you guys are providing, especially aggregating all this data and have enough insights for the sellers, like they know what is going on and how to react to it. So can you give us a little bit about what is the mission basically about behind
Yes,
Atom 11, and how people can leverage this? Yeah.
that's awesome. Thank you. That's a very good question. Let me talk about the mission. And
Yeah.
since you have a full service agency, let me talk about the mission first from the agency point of view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have three missions when it comes to an agency, or my three objectives when it comes to an
Mm.
agency. Agencies should be able to drive deeper conversations with brands. When I
Okay.
say deeper conversations, they should be able to drive conversations about, why a specific product is either their CAC is increasing, or their sales are dropping, or what a
Yeah.
competitor is doing, so on and so forth,
Yeah.
rather than just increasing, or just the ROAS conversation.
Mm-hmm.
For deeper conversations, you not only need aggregation of data, which of course we are doing the
Mm-hmm.
aggregation part, but because agencies have a different problem, right? They're managing hundreds of accounts, so they
Mm-hmm.
need those insights in front of them. Don't have the time to actually dig deep into
Inside
every
each account.
single insight.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can see
Yeah.
you smiling, right? It is tough,
Yeah.
it's hard. So the first thing is, how do you help an agency drive deeper conversations with their brands? By giving them data upfront, helping them evaluate every single action that they are doing, pre versus post. Giving them an insight upfront and saying, "Hey, this is something that you might want to discuss." That's
Yeah.
point number one. Point number two is RCA. Now, I have been in discussions, I think hundreds or thousands
Hmm.
of them. The minute sales goes down, what happens, Vincenzo? Who is the first guy that gets fired? Or fired
Yeah.
as
The
in, like,
agents.
the,
Yeah.
the agency, or and especially the ads guy.
Yeah.
Like, they are, there's I've been in meetings where, they see a sales dip, and change their gaze from the presentation to the ads guy in the matter of milliseconds.
Yeah.
So,
Like if he's the one that is always responsible for everything. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Now, why does that happen? I would want to give the agency a way to defend that, there is a reason why sales went down, and it may or may not be advertising. Let's figure that
Yeah.
out. Is it your pricing? Is it your
Yeah.
inventory? Is it a competition did something? What happened? So we actually built a root cause analyzer just for agencies, because we've seen those
Nice.
looks that they get, right? So that is something where you actually, in one click, you'll be able to see and tell the customer that, hey, these three things changed. Now
Nice.
let's get deeper into this. So that's
Yeah.
point number two. And the third one is, of course, the value that it's giving you in terms of saving your time. So customized reporting, or you want to automate your advertising actions, so on and so forth. So of
Yeah.
course, along with the automation, which a lot of tools are also providing and doing a great job at, I think
Yeah.
my vision goes a little bit above, and just thinks a lot about exactly what is the problem, or where is the agency guy cringing. How can
Yeah.
we
I love it.
help
And
that cringe?
I need this table.
So that's the whole point of, why we thought that the world needs another tool, because there are a
Nice.
lot of them and they are doing a great job. I just think that the winds are changing.
Yeah.
Amazon bringing in more data, people are going to, cost of advertising rising, people are going to need a solution which is more holistic, which looks at
Yeah.
data holistically and gives them the insights that they want to, and also solves the problem that they actually go through every single day. Brand number one wants advertising or reporting in a specific way, brand number two wants it a specific way,
Mm.
and i
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
i
I know.
just know
I
what
know.
so yeah.
I know. I
So
feel you.
I think you and I should talk anyway, so after this.
Yeah. I know.
So that's from the agency side. From the brand side, it's there is only one thing, which is brands want to increase sale. Whenever I have met a brand, I've never seen them asking me, how can you increase my sales through PPC, or how can you increase my sales through inventory management, or do XYZ. um, all they talk about is, how can you increase my sales,
Exactly.
right? So and that's the whole point of, why retail over advertising, right? So actually, maybe advertising will even just fade away from our conversation sometime later, when we have when Atom 11 is
Yeah.
slightly older. But I think it'll become more and more e-commerce management, because we want to focus on sales. anything that touches your sales should be available in front of you so that you
Yeah.
can take the right decision and go from there. So
Awesome.
that's the
That's
whole
that's an
mission.
amazing mission and explanation. So thank you for that. I guess
Thank
now, to conclude, it would be awesome if you can share, how people can reach out to you and how people can also enroll with Atom 11. Yeah.
Absolutely. All you have to do is either you can go to my website, which is www.atom11.co. It's
Mm-hmm.
not com, it's co. And you can sign up. So you will get a meeting directly with me. And, we could love to discuss or audit your account and figure out what is it that, you need for as next steps for your Amazon account. And I promise, by the way, here on Vincenzo's podcasts that I think I'm the most direct person. I will tell a person that, if Atom 11 is not the right solution for
Yeah.
them, I actually tell them very, very directly that, hey, you know what,
Yeah.
maybe you need another solution. So
Yeah.
I promise to not waste your time. So that is one. Um, Another way of reaching is directly email me at neha@atom11.co and let's talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, especially anyone who is looking to try Atom 11, uh, all you have to do is just send me an email, say the e-commerce lab podcast. That should be the
Yeah.
subject, and we are going to get in touch with you and give you a 1 month free trial.
Awesome, Neha. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to have you here on the show. And, I'm sure this is just the beginning of many more episodes as you keep evolving these amazing software solutions. So it's been a pleasure and see you in the next one. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vincent, and thank you for asking amazing, amazing questions and giving me your own experiences too. I am going
Thank
back with a lot of learnings.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.